Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Raw Knowledge Podcast with your host, as ever, myself, Alex Connor. We're here with another talented guest. We're here to share some knowledge. And this evening, i.e. morning, I've got Mark Coles on the podcast. Thank you for your time, Mark. How's everything on your end?
My pleasure. Very well. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. As ever, before we get into it, let's start for the people who may not be aware of who you are, what you do, but more importantly, why you do it.
Cool. Well, firstly, am I speaking to fit pros, gem pop people, physique people, just so I can have an idea rather than going off on a tangent with business, just so I know kind of who we're having a chat with?
Sure. So you're speaking to health professionals who are coaches and online trainers, but also anyone who has an interest in training, nutrition, and lifestyle collectively.
Cool. Okay. So I am somebody who's been in this industry 21 years. Started out much like everybody else as a PT. Just a guy trying to find my way and find where I want to be in life. The gym gave me a place to feel happy, where I felt happy. And that in itself was the foundation of me turning this into a lifelong career. At the moment, 21 years later, two arms to my business. I teach personal trainers. My team and I teach personal trainers how to fill their diary, build their confidence, and achieve incredible results with their clients. Very much from the year 1 to 5, we have a lot of people still in there between 8 and 10 years into the career. There's a lot of people who haven't progressed their career, haven't learned a lot during their career, and at the stage of 8 to 10 years in, realize that they're not where they want to be. And then I also help fit pros who are in a position where they want to scale, they want to build wealth, they want to make a big impact, and they want to achieve their dream life, essentially. I've got two sides of the business. We've got a lot of trainers that we help actually build the theory, the science, and the practical application of becoming a great coach, which within my business coaching program, if you're not a good coach or somebody who's a dedicated good coach, you're not a good fit for my business coaching program, because at the fundamental root of being a great business fitness professional is being a great coach. And if you're in this to just make cash and not become a good coach, you're not a good fit for me.
I appreciate the synopsis. Now, I've listened to a couple of podcasts and interviews. You've talked about a lot of salient points, some of which you touched on there. And I wanted to talk about some of the biggest misconceptions. A lot of coaches are trying to run before they walk, meaning they're trying to scale online, and they've not really mastered the basics in the gym. Why do you think a lot of people are trying to fundamentally skip that step? And what are the biggest misconceptions that you find working with these health professionals? What are they missing? And how do you help explain to them how important it is to be on the floor, on the tools, if you will, and actually getting hands-on experience before perhaps scaling to an online medium?
Well, there's two things. First and foremost, people have no idea what scaling means. I look at business on two sides: build and scale. Okay. You can't scale something that's not built, right? That's the first thing. So I work with people that scale. I've got people that have got a talent, a skill, and they're making an income stream. With that, they want to multiply that income stream. Therefore, they need to multiply the talents. Therefore, they need to scale. Therefore, they need to hire people to help them work more effectively and efficiently. So I'll regularly take coaches that are solo on their own, training 50, 60, 70 clients more. And they say, what's next? And I say, well, we scale this. So we actually get a lot more people within the business, clients, and we bring in people to help you teach those people, coaches, and we bring in people to help you manage the administration of the business, whether or not that's administration, marketing, lead generation, even sales. To me, that's scaling. And that's something that my business, we have 15, 16 people within the business. I have a CMO. I've got, we're developing sales. We've got marketing people in different countries. We've got 7, 8 coaches, and we scale. And I basically am able and in a position to, do things such as this, come and speak with you, grow the ambassadorial aspect of the business. So the reason why I say scale is that that's people's misconceptions of scale. Mark, I want to scale. It's like, I've got 22 online clients I'm trying to scale. No, you don't. You haven't built your business. because the foundations of any business are what you're able then to scale. So what's the foundations of a fitness business? Your skill, your craft, your reputation, your knowledge base, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that people are going to buy. When people hire me, when people ask me to come on a podcast, when people get me to business mentor them, they're basically taking 21 years and saying, that thing that you've done for 21 years that's allowed you to build your wealth, build your life, build your team. I want to learn that from you, right? They're not saying, I want to hire you because I want to grow without any understanding of what I do. So as a fitness professional, there is and I've written about this in my book, Level Up. I talk about the actual foundation of business that every fitness professional needs. You need knowledge, skill, which is what I call the physical. Mm-hmm. So it's your ability to actually get people where they want to be, right? And that means that most coaches need to become more confident in themselves. The big challenge we have in our industry is very low confidence with people. That's just a personal thing. Mm-hmm. That's a personal thing. That's not a professional thing. That's personal. That's I doubt myself. I fear sharing my knowledge on social media. I fear talking to people on the gym floor. Well, if those three things are there, that's not they're entrepreneurial skills, because entrepreneurs don't have doubt, don't have fear, don't have frustration. Maybe they feel slightly nervous about big challenges, but they're ready for them. Personal trainers, young fitness professionals, they have to overcome that. I've studied personal development since I was 27, and I have a lot of personal development systems within my business that helps limiting beliefs, increase our emotional state, improve self-confidence. And once we've got those foundations, which is learning how to be a great coach, because let's imagine you stand in front of 100 people on a TED Talk and say, my name is Mark Coles, and I can change anybody's life physically. I have the confidence and ability to know anybody in this room. I can help you to lose body fat, look in the mirror, love what you see, improve your self-confidence, and actually live a very sustainable, live a very effortless life when it comes to nutrition and sustainability and living happy. My program is called This is what I do, and this is why I'm world class.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I need to get a personal trainer to the point where they feel that. I did a presentation to 750 coaches during the summer in London, and I said, there is not one of you in this room that I can't change. Not one. And now I know 21 years that's taken me to get to that level of confidence, but can you stand with a load of overweight mums as a 21-year-old trainer and say, there's not one of you in this room that I couldn't help you look in the mirror and love what you see and feel confident in wearing dresses to go on holiday? There's not one of you that I can't help to get in a bikini and stand on the beach and go, wow, is that me? And until you do, you're not confident. So what happens online, Alex, is that these personal trainers and online coaches are saying, I want to make money and live in Dubai. Now, very interestingly, this morning, my early morning reading that I was doing, Joe Dispenza is somebody that I've been studying a lot of over the last year and a half, and really, really got into the depth of his book, Becoming Supernatural. And he talked about emotion and intention. Now, if somebody doubts themselves, they have fear, frustration, anger, or resentment. It's inbuilt, mm-hmm. right? But they want to make loads of money. That and the intention to make more money, they're not aligned because their emotional state is not aligned. So a lot of young trainers have got to learn the personal development aspects of self-confidence so that they can actually say, I want to make some money online, but I know I can. And that's the two differences for me. And that's why learning your craft, going on the gym floor, building your confidence, speaking to people. And I would say there is less trainers that I come across who are confident in their ability to go online, do a post, write, speak, video, whatever. And that's why I think that fundamental level of self-confidence as a fitness professional, it's almost essential that you start as a PT, mm-hmm. in my opinion. Because most people start in the fitness industry with low self-confidence. Now, if you've got a body that you're proud of, knowledge that you're confident with, certain about yourself, you kind of have some good foundations to start an online business, because you're happy to take a photo, a selfie. Happy to have your top off, maybe. You're happy to speak confidently about your craft, even though you don't know a lot about it yet. And it's almost like you've got this challenge that we've got in the industry where people want something, but where they are right now is not aligned. And that's the challenge. And one of the big things for me is, if a trainer comes to see me and says, I want to make 10K, I promise you I'll be honest and tell you if it's not going to happen right now. What I won't do is give you a funnel that's going to promise that. And that I would say, integrity in how I do what I do is the most important thing to me. I don't have a coaching program which somebody says, I want to scale. What's your blueprint? I want to make 10K online per month. Can you give me a funnel that's going to do it? I'm going to say no until we get into the depths of, in essence, I help people build brands that have got legs to them and will last a lifetime, as opposed to quick cash that fulfills them for the short term.
Yeah.
I'm a coach. That's it. And I fucking love coaching. Sorry.
That's good, man. I love it. I mean, look, a lot of what you said resonates with me. I have almost inadvertently found the Australian version of you, who is my mentor, Brad Shepherd. It almost looks similar as well. It's uncanny. And, like yourself, it's much more than just the surface level that you're working on. And ultimately, a lot of people are just not willing to do that work. They're not willing to get the skills. You made some great points. One of them was, can you actually get results? Most trainers either look good, but they can't do it for other people. It's like, hang on, if you've been in the industry for 2, 3, 4 years, show me a portfolio. You should have walls of testimonials. And it's not just about the physical, transformation. And I prefer the word evolution because I think it's ever changing. But it's, can you get tangible results for people? And if so, do you have that skill set? And as you know, a lot of coaches come out, and I don't know what it's like in the UK. I've been away a long time. But we talk about raising the industry standard here in Australia. We've got some of the best coaches in the world, but we've also got a saturated market. You said something key on a video that you did with Mike Thurston the other day. He said the market is saturated, but it is saturated with shit. Hopefully I've not got that quote wrong, but it's true, because there is a lots of drivers on the road, but how many good ones? So if you are a great PT and you work on all of these elements that you do with your coaches and what you've done with yourself, you actually stand out more like a sore thumb, because you have that level of professionalism, you have that edge, you have the ability to communicate the knowledge, which is so critical. What a question I'd love to ask Mark is, along your personal journey, because you've lived it and breathed it first, right? You're now coaching coaches, but you started as a coach, as a trainer, on the tools, doing it yourself. What were some of the early challenges you faced in actually being able to get people to make tangible change? I talk about training and nutrition. I say, guys, this is great, and this can get very in depth. I love that, but no one wants to look at the lifestyle. They come out of training college, whatever it is, and they go, right, here's the best program, here's the nutrition. I'm like, hang on, you've got a mum with 3 kids, she's got a bad back, and she can only train twice. You don't have an athlete with loads of money who can turn up to the gym 5 days a week. So how do you combat that? Adherence seems to be a key word most people neglect. How do you actually make something flexible, sustainable, and enjoyable so someone can adhere to the protocols and actually get results over time, and then obviously keep them on as a client? So I want to know if there was any early roadblocks and what you learned from those hurdles as an actual trainer yourself.
I faced every single hurdle like every other trainer. So I didn't wake up with this golden past to be, one of the best coaches in the world. Mm-hmm. I woke up with the same problems. What the hell is this all about? No one's sticking to the plan, right?
Yeah.
So I learned nutrition from a diploma. I didn't do university. I just put everybody on the same thing. No one followed it. Something we have at M10, which we teach on our personal training mentorship, is called 360 coaching. 360 coaching is first and foremost thinking about the person, thinking about their challenges, thinking who they are. And when I was younger, I didn't really think about that. It was like, here's a diet plan, follow it. And what I didn't understand is that everybody's different, which is why when I do my coaching inside my business coaching program, there's a lot of kind of cookie cutter programs that all the same people follow. But here's the deal. Like, I don't care how few people we end up coaching, for example. If we can have that near on bespoke approach to every business coaching client and every personal trainer, We have 3.5 hours worth of calls every single week to the people that we mentor because we want to listen, we want to understand, we want to try and understand their uniqueness.
Mm-hmm.
And in the coaching game, people have scaled everything so fast that the coaching aspect gone and the scalability to make more money has appeared. So with group coaching programs, no one's heard, no one's listened to, right? In one-to-one coaching, everyone's heard, everyone's listened to. I'm a mum, I'm stressed. I wrote about it in my book. If somebody comes in, the biggest challenge for me was I didn't listen to what I was being told. So when somebody comes in and goes, nightmare, drop them off at school, great. And I go, why didn't you follow your bloody diet? And it's like, listen, Mark, she's absolutely flat out, right? She's stressed, right? Something I learned later on in my life, her primary values in her life, the things that she wakes up dedicated to, are not training. She's waking up dedicated to children, right? And if that's the highest values, I can't tell her not to be focused on them. I have to go, right, well, she's going to do everything that she can possible. Like my sister sometimes just messages me and she goes, just got a chance to breathe. And I'm like, it's 11:30. Like, so when I write the diet plan for a train, like back in the day, honestly, Alex, I used to tell people, if you're not committing to 5 meals a day, you don't want it. Now, this was the old bodybuilder me. So I'd give my Gen Pop clients actual nutrition plans and strategies and follow it. Now, I'll tell you right now, my sister, who's got 3 kids, 3 beautiful children, like if she can do 2 meals a day, good on you. Because at the moment, that's all you can fit in. Now, okay, you can look at micronutrition and macronutrition and protein intake and the amount of fat that the brain needs to function optimally and how much hydration we need for the brain. It's not realistic, right? Realistic is probably 4 months, 5 months, 7 months down the line. You know, everybody, if their distance from destination, like my distance from destination in terms of financial success and business success is kind of like, I'm here and I want to get there. Most people, if they want to get here with a weight loss, like I talk about this in my business, I'm actually closer to reaching some of my goals in life than a lot of people. Whereas weight loss, like let's say my distance from destination in terms of being an Olympic athlete is there. So the skills and attributes and behaviors that I'm going to need to know, they need to be layered on over time. Whereas Gen Pop people's distance from being in habitual control with their diet, lifestyle, health management, sleep, rest, and recovery, it's here. So I've got all of these habits to build in between that. And as a coach, we don't think about, okay, if she's really busy with the kids, what's the number one thing that she could tell me that she could do? I can't eat breakfast. Absolutely no chance. But I can, when I meet the girls, have a salad at lunch. Good. Tell me what you can do. And I think the problem with me in the past is I expected people to do what I wanted to get them to do, what the books told me to do, what the course told me to do. And I don't care about calories. I don't care about macros to a certain degree with Gen Pop people, to be fair, in the early days. I don't say I don't care. Of course I do. I don't want people living on 1 meal a day and getting even malnourished. But let's start the building blocks off very often with what they can do. Let's celebrate what they can do. Let's get them ticking boxes and being proud of what they can do. Let's start to see some weight come down. Let's start to see the fact that they can have 3 kids and do the bare minimum, because as they start to make progress and they realize that that little bit of extra energy that they like, they could have a bit more of, I can then say, well, do you know what? If you just put a little bit of extra fat on made a shake at breakfast, energy's going to go up. And they're going to go, really? Well, I'll give that a go. And because they've made the decision to change, because they've made that conscious decision to change, it becomes 3 meals a day. And I think the problem was I was trying to get the nutrition and the training and everything in place within a month, rather than being happy that it's going to take a year. And I think this is called like realistic coaching versus unrealistic coaching. Right. And that's what I love, because I came from that bodybuilding mentality where, like, as soon as I realized I wanted a physique, nothing stood in my way. As soon as I realized I wanted to compete, nothing stood in my way. As soon as I wanted to build an empire business, nothing stands in my way. But that's me. Everybody that we're coaching, it's not realistic. So what we need to understand is that there is realistic versus unrealistic coaching. And that, I think, is one of the most important things that I've learned throughout my career, and something that when we teach our fitness professionals, it's okay for someone to take their time.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I
Maybe
appreciate
a slightly
you.
lengthened way.
No, but I appreciate, I mean, look, this is long form content for a reason, and people need to hear it, especially from people with experience like yourself. And I think there's a clear theme there. It's communication. Setting expectations is massive. To kind of just tack onto that, being able to sit down with that client and saying, hey, look, it's not about perfection. It is about progress. It's okay that you can't get it exactly like this, but as you said, it's like, but what can you do? Meeting the client where they're at with their skill set, with their personality, speaking their language, and then saying, hey, look, it's not going to be this 12-week challenge, crap that there's gyms advertising where you just kill yourself for 12 weeks and then regress. But we're going to do something which may take a bit longer, but as you said, will stand the test of time, which I think is critical. Yeah. And then that kind of leads me on to having more professionals like yourself. I see this disconnect between people go to the course, they get the information, they may have some experience training, and then they're in the gym. And here in Australia, you go straight from that to paying rent. And you spoke about fear before and a lack of confidence. People can't even speak to people. They don't even want to drum up the confidence on the gym floors. Where's that gap where we need some people like yourself who are mentors, coaches, coaching coaches to say, hey, look, for the better good of the industry and the client, and of course, we all make mistakes. We've got to start somewhere. But could there be almost a big brother there to be able to say, hey, look, like you've got this knowledge, but now you've got to put it into practice, and it's going to take time. And having some structure and accountability, I think, mastering the basics, having a daily management system, as you mentioned, I know you're very regimented, you're very routine, being able to have that in the gym. A lot of people have all this time and then they want to, like you said, they've got no problem taking a selfie, but hang on a minute. You're not walking the gym floor. You're not having conversations. You're not cleaning it up. You're not there in the morning, the busy times. I just think there's a massive misconception that this is an easy lifestyle because people like fitness, but ultimately, this is something like anything that's going to take work and a career. How do you decipher? You said before you're very selective with who you work with. How do you decipher if someone's got the quote unquote minerals or whether they've got the core values that you embody to be able to take them to that next level? And is there a possibility where you can say to someone, hey, look, we can develop this, or look, right now, maybe this is not for you? Do you have a sort of criterion or a process that you do, a qualification process, if you will?
I think in a nutshell, here's the deal. I'm really nervous to talk to people, and it's been a month and I'm really frightened of talking to people. Good. You're not ready to be a personal trainer. Go and be a fitness instructor. Go and get a salary. Go and get a salary from a gym, like most industries, Alex. If you don't go to the bar in legal and go, right, you're going to take your first murder case. It's like 6 years, 5 years before you would even potentially step in a courtroom actually on your own and handle a case. So what gives us the ability, it's the rare person that literally jumps through hoops as a legal lawyer. And they go, man, you're 3 years in, you're ready. Let's go. And they're like rare, right? So I love speaking to people. If you love speaking to people and you love having conversations, you're a perfect fit for a PT. Doesn't matter how much you know, it's personality, Alex. Now, if you don't have a personality, can you work on yourself? Yes. If you're introverted, you're worried about what people are going to say, you're nervous on the gym floor, that's okay. But go and get a job. Go and get an employed position and teach classes and make 20 grand a year, whatever it is, maybe less, that's cool. But be realistic with yourself. Build confidence in the gym. Speak to people on the gym floor because you're getting paid to. Run inductions, teach classes. And then as you start to feel more confident in that environment, then you'll start to apply the things you've learned in PT, because in your fitness instructor sessions, you're getting paid, which removes fear to just help somebody on an exercise. And then you start to go, oh my God, this is pretty cool. And I go, great. Now you can potentially go 50% PT, 50% pay salary. And then you can go full-time PT and no salary. It's a stepping stone. Like I watch trainers, and our mentors on the PT mentorship, we actually have mentoring broken off our mentorship. So we have 6-month mentorship, we have semi-private mentoring, and you have full mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 4 people per unit in our semi-private mentoring. And the semi-private mentoring is there for the head coaches in our mentorship program to listen to the case studies, listen to the challenges, and help people feel secure. I've had mentoring and hired mentors and still have them today through my whole career. So trainers in Australia, whether it's you or whether it's other people, hire them. Put a percentage of your salary towards sitting down with a professional and saying, I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. And they go, try this, do this, try that. Don't come into the industry and know you know nothing and egotistically go, well, I'm not going to ask anyone. So are you going to be a fitness instructor? Are you going to learn from the ground, right? And then are you going to step into being a PT, let your ego go?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going to go as a PT, struggle, dent your self-confidence, not fill your diary, and then leave the industry? Is it worth 6 to 12 months of being employed and then becoming freelance, and then from freelance filling your diary and putting your prices up and then doing something else? Like, I love giving somebody the roadmap, and I don't like seeing somebody struggle. I'm really confident as a person, and I found talking to people on the gym floor hard. Not talking to people on the gym floor, converting them into a client. So chatting was not a problem. Learning the skill to master sales was tough.
Just a quick one, guys, before we carry on with the podcast. For any of you who are interested in taking your health and physique to the next level, and you want to remove the guesswork, you're not quite getting the progress that you want, you're not seeing what you want to see in the mirror, and you're not feeling like you're really moving in the right direction, then click the link in the bio below, the apply button, where you can contact me. We can organize a free consultation, no obligation, and discover whether it's a good fit as coach and client. All right, back to it.
Tough.
Yeah. And yeah, it's an intricate, I've been listening to some of your podcasts of late, and you were talking about some of that structure and, the word sale, even people don't like it, but you have to know how to sell, but then breaking down what that definition is, as you said, we need to have this sort of plethora, or we need coaches who are, if you would, one great takeaway straight away is invest. I mean, who cleans the cleaner, who coaches the coach? You go to someone, a professional. If you want to learn the piano and you want to skip out the bullshit, it's 20%, 80-20 rule, 20% knowledge, 80% of the job. Obviously there's a little bit more to that, but why not invest, keyword invest, not an expense, invest in someone, time, resource, money, like you said, a percentage of your salary, a percentage of your income, in someone who can shortcut that process. Of course, you're going to make mistakes, but like you said before, 21 years of experience, you can't buy that. Someone comes in and they're willing to learn. And like you said, the ego's not there. I just see a lot of people who are not willing to invest. They just want to sort of hold it on. Like you said, it might be that they're scared to ask for help. I know we're coming close to time, Mark. If you've got, 2 other activities and habits that you would offer the trainers, the coaches, the people listening, that would improve their life on a daily basis, apart from getting a mentor, getting a coach, what other habits and behaviors or activities would you recommend?
Well, just quickly, I just got a message. We can carry on for another 5. Absolutely fine. We'd get this question, which is really, really important.
Thank you.
The most important thing that I really want to get across here is be smart with your mentors. If you're going to invest in somebody, there's a lot of people out there selling mentoring, right? And there's a lot of people selling courses because it is a way to make money. But be selective. Has this person, got life experience aligned with the thing that they're promoting? Because you don't just progress with tactical knowledge. You progress with life knowledge. Overcoming challenges has to come from somebody who's overcome challenges, and it's very, very important, when it comes to that investment, is choose your mentor wisely. Another thing is the mentor that you're reaching out to aligned to what you value, right? I value coaching, my training, life, my wife. I value learning, right? And if I find that I'm getting a mentor who's, flash in the pan, not a dedicated lifelong learner, not a coach, they're not aligned to me. And so I'm able, and I've made this mistake many times. I spent tens of thousands on mentors and gone, I knew better. So people say to me, "Oh, Mark, I'm thinking of working with you, but I've had my fingers burnt." I said, "Have you had your fingers burnt, or did you hire the wrong person?" Because there's an accountability on our shoulders here. Because we go, "Oh, I hired a really bad mentor." No, you didn't. You just hired the wrong person for you. Because that person might have been a good mentor for somebody else, but because you want to really focus on your coaching business, and they're very dedicated to building, incredible wealth. If they're not a dedicated coach, then they're not going to teach you how to have compassion towards training. They're going to teach you how to have compassion to making a lot of money. So choose your mentors wisely. Choose the investment that you're going to place aligned with what you value and where you want to get to. Don't just go copying everybody else. There's a lot of people that jump from course to course to course in the fitness industry and have a lot of education. And in the early days, I did various different courses and suddenly went, I'm doing these because everybody else is doing them, not because I want to do them. And reality is a lot of people are jumping from course to course, ticking the boxes, telling people they've done them. And I'm like, but because you're not inspired by it, you've not learned anything. So we've got to choose our mentor if they're aligned with us. Choose our mentor as if the mentor's got, mud on their boots, i.e. as my late father would always say, have they actually been in the fields as a farmer? Or have they sat in their car watching people do the laboring, right? My dad said, when I worked for my dad in property, he got me reading the meter readings in 400 flats before I was allowed in the office, because he wanted me to meet the tenants. He wanted me to talk to people, get my knees dirty, and I turned up with a brand new suit. Within a week, it was screwed. He wanted me to get out on the ground. So as a coach, if you're going to hire a mentor, have they done the hours on the gym floor? Have they trained the thousands of coaches? Have they actually know what it's like to do incredibly long hours and deal with lots of different clients? Or have they just quickly found a business model and scaled it and made loads of money? It's up to you. It depends on what you value. And then also education. Stop and think, what do I want to be? What type of coach do I want to be? And is this course something that I'm doing because everybody else is doing, or am I doing it because I'm inspired to do it?
Yeah. I do. And one of my favorite sort of passages that I live by is lead by example. And like you said, people are at the top, they're waving the big stick, but it's like, if I can't do it, how can I expect my clients to do it? How can I expect my coaches to do it? And ultimately, I think that's phenomenal advice. And for coaches out there listening, I couldn't second that enough. Like, do a bit of research on your coach, ask the right questions. You're going to be investing, and make sure, can they get results? And
I'll just throw this into you, Alex, if I may. One of the most important things I can give as an advice to any client, any coach, when I realized that I actually didn't know what I was on about, and that's a real honest question to yourself. Do you really know how it feels and what it takes? Because at one point in my career, after 6.5 years, I said, God, I love this whole idea of building a better body shape. And I was just a guy that had an okay body. And I said to myself one day in the mirror, I said, let's build a physique. Let's start bodybuilding, right? And then I actually said to myself, this is going to take a while. So you have to put a realistic time frame on that bodybuilding thing, right? And every day I wake up, I didn't like how I looked, but I knew that if I kept going, I'd build something. And every time I built it, I built my confidence. There are so many personal trainers that over 5, 7, 10 years look exactly the same, right? Not one of your clients is coming to see you to look exactly the same, right? So if your clients are coming to see you to not look the same, but you stayed the same, there's an emotional disconnection because you stayed the same. So for them to go from somewhere that they don't like to somewhere that they now like, you need to have at some point in your career gone from what you don't like to what you really like. And that distance could take 3 or 4 years. This is realistic. This is managing expectations. This is saying that to be good at coaching physiques, it might take 5 years. And when I stepped on a bodybuilding stage with my first prep coach, I said, I'm sorry, I just don't feel like I'm a bodybuilder yet. He said, hey, You let me get you there, and you do the bloody work. And after I stepped off stage of one, he said, now you're a bodybuilder. And I thought, Jesus, that's taken 5 years. And I'd do that 5 years again for what I learned. There are too many trainers in this industry who have never changed, but are trying to teach other people to change, right? If you want to be change with other people, make the change first yourself. Because if you can't match what it takes in your head, you'll never, ever help somebody achieve what they want to achieve. And one of the biggest things online is you could be the greatest copywriter, the greatest blagger with words, whatever you want to do. If the authenticity inside you is not true, then you're selling false. Mm-hmm. And when you sell false, lack of authenticity, people can see it. People can spot people that are lying, right? And that comes back to psychology, which is emotional state and intention. If you don't believe you can get results, but you're telling people you can get results, it ain't going to happen. The emotion's not aligned. So, know that, the reality of being a great fitness professional comes down to the intelligence with yourself. Like, can you actually do the thing that you say you want to do? And is it something that's a dedicated passion of yours, or did you come in the fitness industry just to make some money? And that's a harsh thing. I'm not frightened to tell people that they should leave the industry. I'm not frightened of telling people. I'm not frightened.
I love what you said there, Mark, and I'm gonna add on to that with a real life conversation I had with one of my coaches last week, who was disheartened because there is a particular individual online that had started and is doing very well online, and she was a little bit dismayed that she couldn't grow that fast because she's been on the gym floor. And just to kind of circle it back to what you said, I said, look, is that person, without being mean, do you think she's going to get the same results that you've been getting on the gym floor, like day in, day out? You might have less of an audience online, but you are doing quality work and you are actually getting results. And eventually you may be where she is, but even if she isn't, and as you said, that comes back to integrity and intention. I think purpose is a big word. You give a man or a woman purpose, you give them a means to live. I know for me, I've chased some rainbows. I've sold houses, cars, you name it. I've had a go at it. I've still got a lot to learn. I'm 30, but I've lived in 3 countries and I've made a shit ton of mistakes. And I've listened to a lot of wise people like yourself. And, I've still got a lot to learn. But through that, what I've realized is that doing the thing that gives you purpose. They say do what you love. Do what gets you excited? Yes, but it has to be purpose. And that can be just getting up and paying rent. It could be looking after your kids. That motivates you. And for me, when my head hits the pillow every night and I know I'm doing everything I can and I'm changing people's lives and the feedback I get, and I get goosebumps, pimples. And you know what it's like, Mike, when you look someone in the eye, another human being, and you've worked with them for years or 6 months and whatever it is, and you get them tangible change that impacts their life forever. I don't know about you, but I can't put a price on that. And that continually does grow. The value does raise. You've got to believe in yourself, but I'm happy. And that beats selling any object, anything like that. I truly believe the health is the most critical. Health and relationships are number one in your life. Like you mentioned, your family, it's your health, like you've got that, you've got everything. And I think everything on top of that is a bonus. And being able to do that rather than, like you said, having all these followers, and you might be making all this money, but that's an empty feeling if you're not actually getting results. And that's where I see that big disconnect. I see all these big online coaches and influencers, but I'm like, man, where's your testimonials? Because you've got the same 2 you had 5 years ago and they ain't that great. And people are getting disheartened and they want to be there. And I'm like, hey, if you want to be the real deal, do the work. Don't get caught up in the shiny objects. I'm not sure if you want to speak to that.
Well, I will. I'll throw this in. Okay. One thing that we all have to understand in life is this. Not every individual lives their life by the same set of values. And as a trained facilitator in values, one of the most important things to understand is I have a very high value on wealth accumulation now. But when I was bodybuilding, I didn't. And people might listen to this and, oh my God, here he is, another wealth person, right? It's not at all. But I want to build wealth for myself after 21 years and being 44 years of age, because the more money that we can make from the business means that we're actually impacting more lives, means that my wife and I can live the life that we want. Go back 8 years ago, all I wanted to do, and because I was well focused, was spend every bit of money I spent on education and seminars and courses. So when trainers go, "Oh, I'm not bothered about money," I'm like, "Okay, well, what if I gave you an extra grand a month? Where would it go?" They went, "Courses, I travel the world." Good. So you are bothered about money, right? And then one of the most important things is we have a very skewed perception on wealth, because there are people online who are fitness professionals, selling fitness courses, doing whatever they're doing, influencers, whatever, who have chosen a life to travel the world. And here's the deal. I actually help people try and understand. I spoke to a guy yesterday who was a PT, very unfulfilled, very unhappy, and said, "What does your life demonstrate? Like, what is the thing that's most inspiring to you?" He said, "I've got pictures on the wall of wall maps and maps of different countries. I've got travel maps. I want to travel the world." And I said, "The reason you really should stop personal training and build an online business is because you're going to be more fulfilled traveling in the world." And he was like, "What, quit PT?" I was like, "No, no, no. Build an online business, slowly transition down, and then when you've got enough funds in your account and enough business online, then travel the world." Because I'm in the business of helping people fulfill something that's deeply inspiring to them. And if it's to be a wonderful PT, or if I feel you've got to be a PT to start with, that's where we need to go. But it's only based on what you've told me that you want. Now, for a while, obviously PTing for 15 years, I mean, I was deeply inspired. You couldn't take me away from the gym floor, and even though I had an online business, then my life started to change, my values started to change, and what I wanted out of life started to change. And then I started to build my team, and everything started to change. So it's very easy for us to look at other people and go, this person's got this person's doing this wrong, da da da. I always try and tell people that I did a reel this morning, was about a vision plan. I have a very detailed, written down vision plan. It's very, has a lot of substance to it, but it's mine. And when I spoke to my dad, a couple of years before he died, and I said to him, "Dad, have you ever compared yourself to anybody else?" And he was in property industry. "Have you ever worried what people are doing?" He said, "Mark, I'm so inspired by my own legacy that I want to lead. What other people do doesn't matter to me." And this was quite funny, that from a young age, Dad said he wanted to leave a legacy in his property world, for bringing real private renters sector change. And funnily enough, the year and a half, well, just before lockdown, we celebrated his a Lifetime Achievement Award in the Property Federation in the UK. And basically, this is a guy that from his early 20s has been dedicated to leave his legacy. And because he hasn't focused on anybody else, achieved it. Now, the problem that we've got is that we are less focused on building our own life and more focused on other people, that we actually don't end up building our own. We end up copying other people's. And that's really challenging in our industry, because everybody's watching everybody else. Everybody's calling each other out. Everybody's challenging each other out. What I try and do is narrow the focus, get people certain and clear on what they're building. And if it's to be a great PT, great online coach, gym owner, Pilates instructor, yoga instructor, whatever, let's bring the focus back in. Let's narrow the focus and let's build your own dream life. And that comes down to knowing you. That comes knowing where you want to be. Because look, there are people that are making millions being influencers, millions being online coaches, and doing very well at it. But the more attention we place on them, because they're not doing what you love, we're always going to say they're doing it wrong. But they're doing it right for them. Right? And I, like you, I'm a dedicated coach, and I'm doing it right by me. And all I'm doing is staying polarized with what my opinions are about the industry. That's why I do say to people that I'm not waking up every day to change the industry. Right? Our industry will go in whatever direction it is, and I'm not big enough to make that change. But what I can do is impact individual people. Because if I can impact 100,000 individual people, 10,000 people, 1,000 people, I'm impacting their happy life in the career in the fitness industry. And that to me, impacting individuals is more important than impacting an industry, personally.
Yes.
So that's just my thought on that.
No, I appreciate that. And it's quite sentimental as well. You're bringing up your father. You mentioned him a few times. It sounds like you were close with him, which resonates for me, because my dad's my hero in many respects. Yeah.
His inspiration. He's no longer here, but his lessons to me live on, because one of the greatest mentors to me. But I'm grateful for every part of his life, and also he moved on for a reason, to challenge me to be a better man, and I think that's an important part of life. It is a rotational process that people come in, they teach, they go, and I will come in and I'll teach and I'll go. Having the opportunity, which I'm very grateful to leave the podcast episode with you, just leaving my lessons. And, you know, I don't try and be absolute. I just try and be me. And I think if my story resonates with other people, and that's why all the coaches I work with, everybody that I mentor is a coach. Everybody that I mentor wants to be great at their craft. And when somebody contacts me and says, Mark, I want to scale my business, and I say, what do you do? And I've been in the industry a couple of months, but I want to make 10K a month. I will not take that person on. I won't, and I will possibly point them in the direction of somebody if that's all they want. But I will tell them it'll take longer, but I'll help you build it, and then we can scale it, right? Yeah. But I'm not going to help you scale something that's not there and promise you the dream. That's just it goes back to what you said right at the beginning of the podcast. I'm not going to take somebody through a 12-week transformation if it's not realistic. If I know I'm going to cause more harm than good, but I've been there and done it. And I'm not going to say I haven't, right? I did it for a long time. I was a 12-week transformation coach for a long time and always wondered, why am I struggling to get this person out the other side, right? Why? And that's because I took that person to somewhere that I pushed them to, but they weren't yet ready for. And will I do that? Will my business and team do 8-week and 12-week transformations? Yes. Will we have more integrity and help them rebound out? Yes. Do I think that 12 and 8-week transformations have their place to help somebody see something that they never thought was possible in the short term? Yes. But can we have integrity in the way that we do it? Yes. You know, so, you know, it's been a round the clock kind of conversation, but I can tell certainly that, you know, your integrity and what you care about in coaching is very much the same.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, that's sort of one of the reasons why I resonated when I first heard about you through a podcast. You were just speaking the language, and I was like, this guy gets it, and he's on the ball, and he practices what he preaches, which is ultimately brilliant. I think, you know, focusing what you can control is huge. And one thing before the wrap up is, you mentioned something, and this was months ago. I listened to a podcast, and this was the first podcast I listened to that you're on, and you said, to fulfill your goal, if I can coach coaches and make higher quality coaches, those coaches are actually going to end up coaching more people. Therefore, instead of just coaching individuals to change, now coaching coaches gives you a bigger scope of practice. Therefore, you can fulfill your dream of helping more people. That's not word for word. I probably got it a little bit wrong, but ultimately, my mission is to coach, lead, and inspire as many people as possible. The reality is, I've only got so many hours in the day. So by doing this podcast, by doing the YouTube, by doing the TikTok, the Instagram, by sharing all the things that I don't get paid for and getting in front of people, like you said, I'm focusing on what I can control. I'm making a positive difference in my area. And over time, that's expanding. Pardon?
Yeah, you get paid a lot. You'll get paid very well for it.
Yeah.
Because for every podcast episode I do, the word that I'm going to leave you on is scale your influence. So I spoke to a very high profile physiotherapist yesterday who was talking to me about building a brand and said that the only problem with the brand that I suggested that we potentially look at building was that they end up doing less in-person coaching. And I said, but you haven't thought about scaling your influence. What if you had 10 physios underneath you, all doing 10 sessions a day? So that's 1,000 sessions a day, 5,000 sessions a week. 52 weeks of the year, right? Now tell me that you're not impacting people with your own hands because you're teaching those physios your methodology. So when my mentor said to me, why do you not coach on the gym floor anymore? And I got a little bit defensive. I was like, and I said, because I know I can teach more people through my lessons, through my team and through my podcast. And, you know, I have over 10,000 people download the podcast in 7 days. So that's fitness professionals. So when that many people download my podcast and they're going to help their clients every day, I said to Dan, who's my co-director of the PT Mentorship, if we've got 100 coaches and those 100 coaches have got 20 clients each, that's 20,000 PT sessions they're delivering a week. Now, if we did that in 50 weeks, it's 100,000 PT sessions a year. That's nuts. So our PT mentorship, by working with 100 coaches, does 100,000 sessions a year. That means we're impacting, if you multiply that by 3, if there's 3 in a household, that's 300,000 people a year just by having a 6-month education course online. So when I talk about scaling your influence, the reason why people want to build a bigger business is every single time you help people in the world, you deserve to get paid handsomely for it. You deserve to get paid handsomely for it. So every person that signs up to my program, systems, courses, because of the education I've learned for 21 years, not only will I get paid handsomely for it, but it will impact people all over the world. So it's, it's scaling your influence rather than scaling your pocket in some cases, because if you scale your influence to help more people, you'll make more money in the back end anyway.
Absolutely. And that is powerful. If I may, Mark, I have a signature question I ask all my guests. It's quite sentimental, but it's a question I've asked over 100 people. And it is, can you, before we link people to more of what you do, because obviously I think they're going to be biting at the bit to learn more, can you identify a fear in your life? Can be current, can be past, what it was, and what you've learned from it, or if you're still facing it, what you're learning from overcoming this said fear?
I had a fear of people thinking I wanted to make money. Just frightened that I would be known as a guy that just wants to make money when I wanted to make more money. And I know that obviously earning more money and being more successful in my career was, and this has been the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, because there comes a point, it's not about having transparency and saying to people, I'm here to make more money, but to make a bigger impact and actually worldwide help people. I had to commit and be honest to myself that a byproduct of what I wanted to do was to become successful. And I had to look at my life already and say, where has my life been evidence of already saying to people that I want to make money? Well, putting my prices every opportunity I possibly could is very clear to me that I was dedicated to making money. But I'd skewed my perception on it only because I'd seen a lot of people aggressively trying to make money that were very different to me. And I had a very imbalanced perception on them presenting making money versus me presenting making money. Because until you realize that you deserve to be very wealthy and very successful in this industry, you'll never get ahead of yourself. And I say wealth and because in business, money is massively important. And if you don't reward yourself, you'll be unfulfilled. And I make a lot of money and I change a lot of people's lives and I dedicate myself to learning and helping people. And I'm very proud of everything that I've achieved and very proud of everything that I can afford for my wife and my life and the investments that we make. And I think with integrity, people see that, because the funny thing is, no one calls The Rock an asshole for flying in a private jet. If The Rock told everybody they were an asshole because they couldn't afford a private jet, it's very different. But if you see him wearing Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, flying in planes, having huge holiday homes in different parts of the world, you just say good on him. And I think the big thing for me is whatever I have in the world, I've always been frightened to just demonstrate that this is what you can achieve. And I think in doing that, until I realized that it was important, if I travel well, if I stay well, if I invest well, if whatever I do, when people know, it gives them an opportunity. And by actually allowing people with my integrity to see this, it gives more people the opportunity after 21 years to think, is this guy still just a PT or an online coach? No, he's financially successful. He's got great things in his life. He's got investments. And that 21-year journey, if you learn from him, he's not going to tell you can get to where he is today. But if you follow a map designed for yourself, you'll get to a destination that's, and I'm going to tell you this right now, I had no confidence, no physique, no shape, no knowledge. And it's a bit of a cliche because everybody who's achieved any degree of success will say it, but damn me, it's possible. And this is the fitness industry. My dad said to me, how on earth are you going to make a living that's going to afford a lifestyle that you have from what he had been able to afford for us? And I said, trust me, I will. And one of the reasons I'm investing in property in a different country is basically to just tick a box to say to my old man, see, you invested, I invest. And that thing that he taught me over the years is now moving forward. So fear was to do with money, and I don't have a fear. And when you remove that fear, abundance appears.
Yeah. And it's an important distinction. I think that's a wonderful way to summarize what I think has been a very valuable podcast. I think a lot of coaches are going to get some great golden nuggets out of that. And I'd encourage people to listen to it again. And I appreciate your time, Mark, and sharing so openly. Can you share with people who would like to know more? And I'd encourage them to follow along. I'd encourage them to listen to your podcast because I think they're phenomenal. I think they're to the point, no bullshit, and they actually work because the knowledge you've got is real. where are the best places to go? And of course, I will put all of these links in the show notes, wherever you're listening, and obviously on YouTube for the watchers there too.
So my Instagram is a great place to find me. Don't try TikTok. I've only just started that. And to be honest with you, the place for me is Instagram, very much on my YouTube. Instagram's Mark Coles M10. YouTube is Mark Coles M10. And I have a lot of resources and webinars and education material that's on m10life.com. That's the home and the hub for fitness professionals to build a successful career out of a passion and a purpose. So we have a lot of webinars on there where you can learn. And I have the Mastery podcast where you can listen to a lot of my episodes and hear me help and teach. So I appreciate you having me on the podcast. Really do.
Yeah, no, for sure. So guys, you've heard it from the man himself, a real guy doing real things, making it happen. Make sure you check out those links because it really is very valuable. And of course, if you like this, share it with somebody, a fellow coach, perhaps someone who needs to hear this as well. Of course, I've got to say it, guys, like, comment, subscribe for more. And until the next episode, stay fearless. For those of you who are confused, frustrated, and sick and tired of not seeing the results that you want or deserve, make sure that you click the Apply for Coaching button in the description below and line up a completely free consultation with myself where we can discover if it's a good fit as client and coach and take your health and physique to the next level once and for all.